So I'm going to use the coping saw to cut this concave, I guess you call it here. Being real careful to start straight here. I've got the blade turned so it's cutting this way, so the handle doesn't get in my way, and I'll have a nice, I can go all the way through. So I've got my line across here, so I'll just be really careful and get this started straight. Spoke shave is another delightful tool to use. This one here was my granddad's. So what I'll do is we're kind of rough in the coping saw. We don't want to go this way because these unsupported fibers will break off. So we'll stay clear of that. We can work towards ourselves here. And just in a few seconds, I want to kind of have a bull nose on this. Look at that. Just no problem. Joy to use. No earmuffs. No eye safety glasses. No safety Sally. To finish up, I've just been using the little Stanley 65 block plane just to run a little chamfer across there, and that angle sitting at that low angle blade is really good for end grain. Kind of gives me a little bit more uniformity. Is that a word? Uniformity. There. Finish. We'll sand the rest of that off. So now we have the concave section. We're not going to be able to use the spoke shave or the block plane for that. Something totally different. So to do this inside, I'm going to use the 4-in-hand. That's these rasps. You see, this is my preferred tool for making axe handles or shaping them. I've got a big one here that's a coarse to medium. And then I've got a smaller one that's a medium to a fine. And so I'll start with the coarse to medium. But be very careful when I'm doing this. I don't want to push over and put a lot of pressure on these angles or these corners, because they'll tear out. So I want to kind of, to over exaggerate, I want to kind of work this way here and then work this way from the other side, just so I don't do that. But this here will just make short work and knock down these high spots. And the fact that it's shaped like that, it works with the concave portion of the handle. Right there, just that little bit. This is done. Done for the coarse. Then we can flip over with the medium. I'm careful on these corners here. It's okay, if I'm pushing with the grain, that's fine. I don't want to be going this way. And that's it for the medium. I'm just going down until I don't see any nicks. There's a little nick right there from the saw. And then I'll go over and switch up to the fine. And just as quick as that, now I can just hit that little sandpaper. That's done. So a trick for sanding these concave areas is kind of inside corners is I like this adhesive sandpaper from 3M here. And what I'll do is just take a piece. This is 320, and I'll stick it on a tube of caulk. It's just about the right size. It's round. It sticks really good. It's flexible. You can kind of press it, bend it in a little bit, but it works perfect. You get 2 hands on it for working that inside. And just keep rotating your sandpaper around so you get fresh sandpaper. In just no time, this will give you a nice, even surface, or a smooth surface. So let's stick it together real quick and just see how it looks.
Sometimes I pretend I am a night watch. And stare up from the my apartment.
Now be honest with me. How many of you would enjoy having a toolbox like this? Because you can make this. I think I was just kind of calculating how much I have into it so far. With the handle and everything, I would say about around $30 if you were to buy the stuff at Home Depot. The material that I bought was a little, quite a bit, well, not quite a bit, it's a little extra, enough for a couple more small projects, but I'd say $30, $35 you can build this. And it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Love the dimensions. Thanks to John Neiman for the dimensions. I copied their toolbox dimensions and it's for timber framing. It's wonderful. For a regular carpenter's box, I'd probably cut off about 10 inches. You know, maybe I would figure what my longest saw was, a hand saw, and I'd make sure that would fit in there, and that would kind of dictate the length. But I wanted this to put a full-size axe in. I think I keep saying that. But so here's the bottom. The bottom will be glued on, and the only thing we left before we glue everything up, clamp it, leave it to dry, is to create the handle. So the handle, we don't want to use pine. We want to use something that's really strong because there's such a great span. So I'm going to use hickory, American hickory with the grain oriented properly. So if you were to grab it in the middle and you've got 20, 30 pounds worth of tools in here, it's not going to break. So the question is, do we just do a classic round handle, an oval handle? Do we do a handle that's got just a little bit of an arch in it? That would be nice. It's a lot of work, kind of like making an X handle, but it might be worth it. Or is that too ornate? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Because I'm gonna cut this out here pretty soon. I just can't quite decide on what's gonna look right. But it will be hickory, I know that much. So let me go get that stock ripped down on the saw, and then we'll bring it in here and shape it all by hand and put this thing together. So here's the handle. Overcut it a couple inches, so it's 39 overall, 1.5 by 1.5. Premium clear Tennessee hickory. This is material that I use for my axe handles. Kind of hard to find. Some of you have not been able to find it. You're not going to find it at Home Depot, or your lumber yards should be able to order it, professional lumber yards. But search hardwoods in your area. Hardwood distributor or seller, they should stock this. Pretty common material. You can use ash, you could use maple, you could use oak, anything. If you want to save some time and money, you could use a closet pole. Those aren't always hardwood, but they're pretty tough. I think it would work just fine. You get a closet pole, and that would speed things along. So what I do when I'm trying to round stock from square into round, what I've found that really helps with axe handles is to divide it into section it off here. So I put a line down the center, so at 3/4 inches on all 4 sides. So what I do is I just take my small combination square here, set it for 3/4, run that down there. So this really helps me when I'm using either my spoke shave or draw knife to pull those corners down. I know that I want to keep it at 1.5 inches, so I want to leave the lines, but I can just start knocking that corner off and connecting these lines, and that really makes things easier, just like that. That's the waste material that we need to get rid of. So to establish this radius here, I've never used a plane. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if I can use my plane, set it pretty deep, and knock that off of there. You can see why the dog system is just so amazingly versatile. Right there is another perfect example there, to be able to lock that in there and just use a piece of hickory down there. That way I can run my plane full length. Well, we'll see. But even if I don't use the plane, this still is a great way to hold it using the draw knife. But let's try it and see what happens. So I was working this handle into round, and it dawned on me, I remember seeing some old axe handles that were octagon, and man, it really felt nice in the hand. And I thought, man, that would look cool. Kind of looked like a hand cut octagon. So that's what I'm going to do here. I've got the facets going several sides, and the plane really works good at that. And I wonder if those old handles, if that's what they used, was a plane, because it's just so fast and efficient for that. This plane cutting through this hickory is getting so hot that I've had to stop and let go, because I couldn't, the front of it there was too hot to touch. I thought, well, I don't know that I want to put a glove on, I'll just let it cool down. But the friction from it is just incredible. It really surprised me. So this is the last side, and man, it feels good in the hand. I got a great big fat piece of really tough Tennessee hickory. The octagon is not perfect. I'm just eyeballing it there. You can kind of see there. There you go. I'm going to leave it like that. I think that's cool. There's one little blemish, one little spot where I had a knot when I was started off with my draw knife that tore out right here. You can see. And I'm going to leave that. This is such a nice piece of wood. I'm not going to be worried about that. I'll just finish that and polish that out smooth, and I'll turn it to the bottom. And that's just fine. But this is going to be a really great handle. Man, it feels good in the hand. A big, solid chunk of hickory. My subscriber David suggested that I put my maker's mark on the little old growth fir divider section of the carpenter's bench, and I think that that's a wonderful idea. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
I choose to stay far away.